Hi, my name is Madison Young, and I wanted to do this presentation on my podcast project that I named Underdiagnosed. And I did this project with my close friend Kylie, who's pictured there with me. So we'll start by identifying and explaining the public health issue. I wanted to talk about the underdiagnosis of ADHD and its implications in this podcast. So I'll just give some background on that. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder defined by impaired levels of inattention, disorganization, and/or hyperactivity impulsivity. There are studies showing that there are differences in the brain functions of people with ADHD that lead to deficits in executive functions such as motor response inhibition, working memory, sustained attention response variability, temporal processing, motivation controls, and reward related decision making. And the typical diagnosis assessment process would involve a rating scale, a clinical interview, and possibly also information gained from parents or school reports, that kind of thing. So, currently, the global prevalence of ADHD in adults is estimated around 3.1%. But in 2018, it was also estimated that half to three-fourths of women who had ADHD were undiagnosed, which has probably improved over the last 5 years, but I think there's still a lot of work to do to, spread the word about what ADHD really is and how we can better identify it in people. The identification of ADHD is definitely recommended because there is evidence of long-term functional benefits that is associated with treatment. ADHD is highly comorbid with major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, and substance use disorders. And in adulthood, ADHD is associated with unemployment, working in unskilled occupations, difficulty maintaining jobs, and impaired work performance and financial stress. And I think the combination of comorbid mental health disorders along with difficulty maintaining jobs leads to this high prevalence of people with ADHD in prisons or incarcerated. So about 25% of incarcerated peoples have been estimated to have ADHD. And I think this is something that warrants more research. I think we need to be doing more to be helping people with ADHD avoid prison throughout their lifetimes. And now I'll move into how the underdiagnosis of ADHD intersects with Indigenous health. So I had a thought that if women have been historically underdiagnosed, then other groups have probably also been underdiagnosed with ADHD. And I tried to do a little bit of research into this, and I really couldn't find very much information about the rates of ADHD amongst Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders. I did find just a couple of studies, and the ones I did find did seem to suggest that white children were diagnosed about double the rate that Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders are. And I think that warrants us to question whether or not we've been diagnosing Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders appropriately with developmental disorders. Um, my guest Kylie, she added in this thought about maybe why Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders or Black Indigenous people of color might not seek healthcare, or might not be able to receive healthcare as easily as white folks. So she said Black Indigenous people of color and disabled people are also drastically more exploited than white and privileged populations, but this doesn't mean our systems are failing. Rather, they are functioning exactly the way they were built to function for the people who built them. So, of course, healthcare is denied and inaccessible to us because they're not meant to be accessible. They're extremely expensive and exclusive of those who need them the most. And now I'll move into summarizing my recommendations for increasing the screening and awareness of ADHD. So, right now, our systems seem to be um, better structured to identify ADHD amongst boys instead of girls. And it seems that they're also better structured to identify it amongst white people than minority groups. So, how do we break down this system and help rebuild it? I think that really comes from education about ADHD. They have shown that targeted mental health literacy can provide an important avenue for improving the community's attitudes towards those with ADHD. And Kylie added in her perspective on this as well. She said, because our people are and have been deeply colonized, I also think it's important to address the ways in which our people often view ADHD and disabilities or disorders through the lenses of race, gender, and class, particularly in the illegally occupied Hawaiian Kingdom. And I think this was a really great thing for her to add in. I think it really comes down to addressing misconceptions, I think, and really helping to put things into different perspectives and help people see them in different ways. And how exactly should we be going about educating people on ADHD? Well, there has been some evidence to suggest that short web-based interventions or short professional development interventions can be used to greatly increase ADHD knowledge amongst groups such as teachers and doctors. So I think it would be really great if we could implement more educational interventions for not only teachers, doctors, also parents, and um, prison faculty would be great. So my next recommendation for increasing the screening of ADHD would be to implement guidelines to recommend patients who presented with common comorbidities such as major depressive disorder or substance abuse disorders to go and have a screening for ADHD, because I think probably in a good amount of instances you would find that ADHD might really be the underlying factor that's driving the major depressive disorders or the substance abuse disorders. And a really great tool that's being researched now is this early detect digital screening system. And it's pretty cool because you're able to screen for ADHD and other mental health disorders at the same time and maybe rule out one or the other kind of thing. Or you can say, oh, these are happening together kind of thing. And then just reflecting on this project, I had a good time doing it. I felt excited because this is a topic that I'm very close to and I'm passionate about. And luckily, I have some connections with people who have good recording equipment. And we just did it in one go, and editing it really wasn't an issue for me. It was pretty fun. And I even posted an extended version of it to YouTube because I did really I like the final project and I wanted to share. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you all have a great rest of your semester. Bye. Thank you.